Good afternoon, everyone. We appreciate you jumping on. We'll give everybody a couple more minutes to log in and get on the webinar, and then we will get started. So give it a couple of minutes and we will get moving with the webinar. Thank you. We'll give everybody just one more minute to log on, and then we'll get started. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. Thank you for joining for our webinar today. My name is Kevin Shockley. I'm the Sales Account Manager here at ABS Tag and Title. And I'm really glad you're here for our first webinar, The Road to Registration, How to Optimize and Protect Your Fleet in 2026. We're going to keep this short and sweet, just 20 minutes of presentation, and we'll have 10 minutes at the end for Q&A. And I promise we'll go through some of the bigger headaches that fleet managers are dealing with right now when it comes to title and registration compliance. Before we dive in, quick housekeeping note. We'll have time at the end, like I said, for Q&A, but feel free to drop your questions in the chat as we go. We're monitoring it, and we'll get to as many as we can. So we'll go ahead and get started. First, a little bit about ABS Tag and Title. We've been in business for over 30 years and are a trusted leader in vehicle compliance and titling services. We operate in all 50 states and 1,400 jurisdictions. We serve fleets, dealerships, leasing companies, finance organizations, and more. We support a wide range of industries and vehicle types. We offer comprehensive solutions for title and registrations. Basically, as I sum it up to prospective clients, if it goes to the DMV, we deal with it. We have a proven expertise in navigating the complex and multi-state regulatory requirements. You know, what ABS really does is act as an extension of your administration team, allowing you to do what you need to do, which is manage your vehicles. You know, so we're talking about administrative agility and why it matters. So, you know, in 2026, you may already know the answer to the question, but I'm going to spell it out anyway. First and foremost, administrative agility determines whether your vehicles stay on the road or set idle. And that's not hyperbole. Think about it. You could have a brand new vehicle delivered to your lot, ready to generate revenue, but if the title work isn't done or the temp tag process gets delayed, that vehicle is worthless to you. It's just sitting there, costing you money instead of making you money. Interstate regulations aren't getting any simpler, they're just getting more complex. Now, I was reviewing fee structures across states for a potential client, and here's a real example that I was looking at, dealing with temporary tags. Those requirements vary wildly, and costs vary widely from different states. Florida has a process, Montana has a process, Washington has a process, and they're all completely different. And if you're running vehicles across state lines, you're juggling all of those at once. The compliance risk isn't theoretical, it's real and it's growing. And another point, I won't still delve too far into governance and government and getting political, but the political climate today is only going to make it worse. And you're really going to have to keep your finger on the dial of what's happening in your area, in your state, and nationally. EV adoption is also introducing an entirely new area for titling and registration requirements. Some states, and I'm sure you can name them, have special EV registration fees, documents that have to be done, different timelines. If you're adding electric vehicles to your fleet, and many of you are or will be, you're now dealing with a whole new layer of compliance complexity. Operational costs are only going up. You have zero margin for paperwork delays. Fuel costs are up, insurance is up, maintenance is up. You can't afford to have your vehicle sitting idle because someone missed a registration deadline or the title work got held up. Finally, manual do-it-yourself registration processes just don't scale anymore. When you had 10 or even up to 50 vehicles, you could manage it internally. But when you're managing hundreds of vehicles or thousands of vehicles across multiple states, the DIY approach breaks down. It becomes a full-time job that pulls your staff and you as a fleet manager away from what you should be doing, actually running your fleet operations. That just gives you a quick overview of the landscape we're all operating in now. Let's talk about what actually goes wrong with this. Registration issues just don't create an inconvenience. They directly slow down your operations and cost you real money. Let's break down the biggest problems we see fleets dealing with every single day. First is delayed titles. This is probably the most frustrating one because it cascades into everything else. You purchase a vehicle maybe through an auction, an acquisition, or a dealer, and you're waiting on the title to come through. Days turn into weeks. Meanwhile, that vehicle is sitting in your lot, not generating revenue. But here's what makes it even worse. You can't really track the status properly. Is it compliant? Is it ready to deploy? Your fleet management system shows it pending, which your dispatchers can't plan around. Your maintenance team doesn't know whether they should be prepping that vehicle to go out on the road, and your finance team can't properly account for it. And if you have any compliance reporting requirements, which most regulated fleets do, any delayed titles throw off your entire tracking system. You're essentially flying blind on a vehicle you already own. Expired tags. Let's say you do get your vehicle on the road with a temporary tag, or your current tag is almost up for renewal. Great. Except now you're on the clock. If you miss that deadline, you've got legal complications. Expired tags can result in fines if your driver gets pulled over. Depending on the state, those fines can be significant. But worse than that, the financial hit is the operational disruption. If a vehicle gets flagged for an expired tag, it might get pulled off the road until you can remedy the situation. So now you're scrambling to get emergency registrations done. Your driver is stuck somewhere, and your customer is going, "Where's my delivery?" and is not getting serviced. The challenge here is tracking. When you're managing multiple vehicles across multiple states with different temporary or tag or renewal deadlines, it's easy for something to slip through the cracks. Florida might give you a certain time range. Tennessee gives you another. Texas gives you something else. And if you're manually tracking all this on a spreadsheet, good luck. You're only asking for trouble. Lastly, and worst, are the regulations. This is the one that keeps compliance officers up at night. State-specific rules vary wildly, not just a little bit, but fundamentally. What's required in California looks nothing like what's required in Texas, which looks nothing like what's required in New York. Let me give you a concrete example, and this is actually from a potential client I was dealing with, looking at what a lessor, if you've leased vehicles, What are their registration requirements? Some states require the lessor to be on the registration. Other states don't. Some states have specific forms. Other states have an online system. And good luck finding this information clearly documented anywhere. You're often digging through the DMV websites that haven't been updated in, well, years, and generally aren't the easiest to navigate anyway. These regulatory differences lead to errors in your compliance processes, which can mean rejected applications, resubmissions, more delays, more downtime. And every time you have to resubmit paperwork, you're only extending the time that vehicle is out of service. It's not getting any easier, folks. The regulations are only going to get worse and get tighter. Fees are only going to go up for expired tags or being delayed and being pulled over on the road with those. So those are the problems: delayed titles, expired tags, confusing multi-state regulations. Now, how does ABS help you? At ABS Tag and Title, we handle three core areas that make the difference between a smoothly operating fleet and one that's constantly fighting paperwork fires. First is title management. We ensure each vehicle has the correct documentation from day one. That means no more delays, no more waiting and wondering where the title is, no more risk of errors because someone filled out a form wrong or missed a requirement. Here's what that looks like in practice. You acquire a vehicle, you send us the details, we take it from there. We know exactly what each state requires. We have the right contacts at the right agencies, and we manage the entire process. You get visibility into where things stand. And most importantly, you get your titles when you need them, not weeks later when it's already costing you money. I will say this though, while we handle all the state documentations with a power of attorney on your behalf, there are documents we will need from you. Insurance documents, MSO, old title, or documents proving you own the vehicle. We will need those from you. So it does not absolve you from your documentation needs, but we help provide we tell you what documents we're going to need for that transaction and produce the state documents on your behalf. Secondly, registrations across multiple states. This is where things can get really complicated, and it's where I feel we add the most value. We navigate the complex multi-state registration requirements so you don't have to. Think about it. If you're running vehicles in, let's just say, 10 different states, you're dealing with 10 different sets of requirements, 10 different fee structures, 10 different submission processes. We handle all that for you. We ensure compliance across every jurisdiction, which means your vehicles don't get stuck in administrative limbo. They get registered, they get plated, and they get on the road. The result, minimal delays, no unnecessary paperwork headaches, and vehicles that are compliant and ready to operate. Lastly, renewals. This sounds simple, but it's actually where a lot of fleets run into trouble. A lot of fleets who allow their drivers to run in and do renewals. Well, drivers aren't experts on the DMV, and they forget. So it gets you into a lot of problems. When you're managing a large fleet, registration renewals come at you constantly. Different vehicles, different states, different timelines. We track all those deadlines and handle the renewals seamlessly. We're not chasing down vehicles that need renewed. You're not chasing down vehicles that need renewal this month. You're not worried about something expiring while you're focused on a different issue. We process renewals on time every time, which means your fleet maintains legal compliance without you having to think about it. Generally, we start renewals 60 days in advance. So we have time to get them done and get the tags to you so your vehicles stay compliant. So that's what we do operationally. Let's talk about the bigger picture, how we protect your fleet. Compliance isn't just about avoiding fines. It's about risk management and operational continuity. Here's how ABS provides that compliance you can actually count on. 1, fewer compliance risks. When you work with ABS, you experience significantly fewer compliance issues because we take a proactive approach. We don't just react when deadlines are approaching. We identify potential issues before they become problems. For example, we have a whole team that is constantly working with the DMVs on any kind of forms they change. So if we see a state has updated its registration requirements or updated its forms, we've already adapted that in our system. So when it comes time for your fleet to renew, we have the updated paperwork ready. not searching for it, not waiting for it. It's there. And we're handling that in advance, not scrambling at the last minute. That approach means you can focus on running your operations while we manage the documentation. Your documents are secure. Our systems are all SOC 2 certified. Titles and registration documents are very sensitive areas. They contain critical information about your fleet and your company that need to be protected. ABS ensures that the documents are secure. Our systems are designed to maintain confidentiality and comply with all relevant regulations. You never wonder where your title is, whether a document got lost in the mail or if something else fell through the cracks. Everything is tracked, everything is secure, and you have peace of mind that your vehicles are always road legal. Now let's talk about what this actually means for your day-to-day operation. When you streamline your registration and title work, you unlock real operational efficiencies. And here's what that can look like. We help you reduce your downtime dramatically. By managing registrations and titles swiftly, you minimize the time vehicles are spending sitting idle. That means faster turnaround from acquisition to deployment, fewer gaps in fleet availability, and more vehicles actually generating revenue instead of waiting on paperwork. If you think about it in terms of opportunity cost, every day a vehicle sits waiting for title work is a day it's not earning revenue for you. Multiply that number across your entire fleet, and it adds up quickly to a huge loss of revenue. We help you eliminate the paperwork burdens with ABS automating workflows and removing the manual paperwork burden from your team. Instead of someone in your office spending hours filling out forms, tracking submissions, following up with DMVs, that work is off their plate entirely. This isn't just about saving time, it's about reducing errors as well. Manual paperwork introduces risk. Someone transposes a VIN number, forgets a signature, uses the wrong form version, and now you're dealing with rejected applications and delays. Automation eliminates those risks. Lastly, we free up your internal staff to focus on what's matter. When you're not asking your staff to manage registration paperwork, they can redirect their efforts to more strategic work, improving fleet operations, analyzing the utilization data, managing vendor relationships, whatever adds the most value to your business. Think about it. That person in your office is currently spending 10 to 15 hours a week on title and registration work. What could they be doing instead that would actually move the needle for your operation and generate more revenue? Those are just a few of the efficiency gains. Now let's talk about how fleets and when fleets typically engage us. ABS is built to support fleets at every stage of the vehicle life cycle. Here are the three most common scenarios we see. First is new acquisition. When you're bringing in new vehicles to your fleet, there's a lot happening at once. Inspections are going on, financing, insurance, maintenance prep, and of course, title and registration. We handle the compliance side so you can focus on getting those vehicles operational. This is especially valuable when you're acquiring multiple vehicles at once, maybe from an acquisition, maybe from getting your new vehicles in that you ordered. They're all coming in at once. Well, instead of drowning in paperwork, you hand it off to us and we manage that process across whatever states you need. Second is state-to-state transfers. If you're moving vehicles from one state to another, maybe repositioning assets based on demand, opening a new operation in a new market, we simplify that transfer process for you. Different states have different transfer requirements, different documentation needs, and different timelines. We provide everything necessary to ensure smooth transition without operational interruptions. This is a big one for growing fleets or fleets that operate seasonally across different regions. Lastly, renewals again. Ongoing registration and renewals. This is the bread and butter of fleet compliance. Month after month, year after year, vehicles have to be registered and renewed. We streamline this entire process, drastically reducing the paperwork burden and ensuring vehicles stay road legal without any hassle for your team. The other issue I did not discuss on here is we also not only title and registration, but if you have bigger vehicles, tractor trailers, heavy duty trucks that are going to be on the open road. We work with IRP, IFTA, 2290, overweight, oversize, any special trip permits. We can help you with those as well. Just not delving into them on this webinar. That's another issue for another day. At the end of the day, fleet managers choose ABS because we bring three things to the table: experience, accuracy, and reliability. We have deep expertise across all 50 states. We don't just know the rules in one or two states. We have a comprehensive understanding of the fleet regulations and title registrations across the entire country. And more importantly, we stay up to date on those changes, as I said before. Regulations evolve, fees change, requirements shift, and we're on top of it all. That means when you're working with ABS, you're not just getting someone who can file paperwork on your behalf. You're getting a partner who understands the nuances of each state's requirements, can navigate them on your behalf. Whether you're operating in Florida, Montana, Washington, or all three, or many more, we ensure your fleet is always road legal, no matter where you operate. Secondly, proven processes that minimize errors and maximize efficiency. We've been doing this for years. We've refined our in-house processes and workflows to be as efficient and error-free as possible. We use technology to streamline submissions, track deadlines, ensure nothing falls through the cracks. This results in fewer delays, fewer rejected applications, fewer compliance issues, and smoother operations overall. When you partner with ABS, you're leveraging systems and processes that have been tested across thousands of vehicles and hundreds of clients over the years. Also, you have fuel view into your transactions through our ABS client portal. They show you every step we're taking with your transactions right through the whole process. You get alerted for different transactions, what happens in transactions. So if something needs to be done, it comes directly to you so you know what's going on all the time. That brings us to the end of the prepared comment. I'm going to wrap this up and then we'll switch over and take some questions. So here's the bottom line in 2026. Administrative agility is everything. The fleets that can thrive are the ones that can move quickly, stay compliant, keep vehicles on the road generating revenue. The fleets that struggle are the ones that are bogged down in paperwork, chasing deadlines, dealing with compliance issues. ABS Tag and Titles helps you be the first kind of fleet, not the second. If you're ready to operate your fleet operations or just want to have a conversation about your current processes and how we might fit in, love to have that conversation. Trust me, I'm not here to give you a hard sales pitch. We're here to understand your operation and figure out if the way we can help. Now let's open it up and see if we've got some questions ready. Ashley, how many questions do we have?
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat now. The first question I have comes from someone who filled out the registration form. They asked what the state turnarounds are for titles and electronic title issues and lien releases.
Well, each of those varies by state. Unfortunately, I'd love to give you a definitive answer, but each state varies, and that's the biggest issue that you have. Where we come in is with in-house. Once we get your paperwork in, we have everything ready to go to the DMV within 4 days. From there, we are tracking the different DMVs and how long are they taking to complete transactions. Why that's important is when we give you an estimated deadline that we're getting titles back or getting lien released or getting whatever needs to be done for you back, we're using data that comes from our transactions to give you an estimated time that is accurate. We're not just using what the DMV says. We're actually using data points to tell you that DMV is taking 10 days to process that transaction. So when we tell you it's going to be 10 days, that's based on actual data, not the DMV. But each one of those varies wildly by state. And when you get on our client portal, it actually shows what are the current term times in each state. And if there are exceedingly long-term times, because of our 30 years in business, we've developed relationships into DMVs or with companies who can walk transactions in for us and get them done quickly. Long
Nice.
answer, Hannah, to a very long issue.
Perfect. The next question I have is, what's your average processing time for multi-state registrations?
Average for multi-state registrations, like I say, it goes back to the whole state issue. Average, looking at what the current term time's on, is about 2 weeks. From the time we get it to the DMV and get it back and back to you, you're looking at 14 to 18 days total.
Nice. Another question I have is, can you help with both initial registration and renewals?
Yes, that is meat and potatoes for us. The initial registration, as I said in the presentation, you send us the documentation that we need. We get the initial tag, title, and registration done for you. If we take on managing your fleet, then we are looking at renewals for you 60 days out, and those get handled one of two ways. We can automatically do the renewals on your fleet and just send them to you, or probably even more appropriately is, we'll send you a spreadsheet. Here's what we see due 60 days out. Are these vehicles still on the road? Do they still need renewals? They tell us, no, they're not. Yes, they are. And we go ahead and renew them for you. Or you can use this as an on-demand service that you tell us, send us the paperwork. Here's what we need renewed, and we do it.
Awesome. Next question I have is, how do you stay on top of changing requirements across 1,400 jurisdictions?
We have an internal team here at ABS that actually continually researches the DMVs and looks for changes to documents, look for changes to fees. That way our paperwork is always up to date in-house. That eliminates us having to do resubmissions, get rejections, and just they stay on top of any changes that are coming up.
Perfect. And what happens if there's an urgent need to register a vehicle quickly?
We do have the ability to do expedited processing. Instead of, like I said, our service level agreement is 4 days. We can do it in less than a day and get it out to the DMV. And like I said, we have boots on the ground that if we need something walked in that's an emergency, we can get it walked into the DMV for you and get it done and get it back.
Nice. Last question I have is, how does pricing work for fleet services?
There are 2 different fleet structures. So we have a la carte pricing, which is basically per transaction. We also offer fleet management pricing, which is per vehicle per month. So we take either one. We can work on either one. It really depends on what is best for your company and how you feel best operating.
Perfect. Well, that looks like all the questions that I have. We don't have any more in the chat.
Well, everybody, I appreciate your time. I hope you gleaned at least one piece of information from this. And thank you so much for joining today. If you have a question or something comes up after the webinar, please reach out to us directly. We'll be following up with you and sending a recording of the session. And then any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate you joining. Have a great day.